Hi, I'm Georgette Pierre, and you're listening to Black and Nuanced Podcast, dispelling the idea that all Black people are monoliths because we're not. My guests and I bring our varying perspectives to pop culture, relationships, and things we go through that we can't always name. Welcome to Black and Nuanced. Shout out to Excitement Radio and Highly Unique South Florida Radio in South Florida holding me down. I appreciate you all. This week, for my Rona edition, I have guests and friends, Stephanie and Chris on. We basically break down some of the themes that we see in Insecure Season 4. So if you didn't watch last week's episode or this past week's episode, there are spoiler alerts, but try to keep it as generic as possible because even if you're not an Insecure fan, there are some united themes or through lines that are very relatable that we get into. Ooh, it got heated at a couple of points. But here's our conversation. Welcome to Black and Nuanced Podcast, Rona edition and Insecure Season 4 theme edition as well. I have Stephanie and Chris on the line. Stephanie, starting with you, introduce yourself. Hi, my love.
Hi, GP. I'm so happy to be back on the podcast. I'm Stephanie. I am a strategic marketing and communications professional out here in LA, working in entertainment right now.
Bust it down, bust it down. Okay, Chris, go ahead. What's your what do you do?
Yeah, this is Chris. I'm based in New York. My focus is media. So whether it's digital, print, or events, I mean, I cover all areas, and we can talk about a lot of interesting things as we go through the show. Yeah, you can check me out. I'll share my IG and all the details later on.
Okay, that's what's up. So I wanted to throw out there that I wanted to do an Insecure theme episode. Like I know there's a podcast called Insecurity, but they break down every episode. For me, I wanted to have a little bit of fun with it and just talk about some of the themes that we have been seeing in season 4. But first and foremost, I don't know if y'all caught wind, they got renewed for season 5.
Yes.
So shout out. You saw that? Yeah.
Wait, what? Say that again.
They got renewed for season 5.
Oh, excellent. That's good. That's
Yes.
good. That's yeah.
That's what's up. Yeah. So I was like, wait a minute. Chris told on himself, Stephanie. I was like, I put it in the document.
I knew it. I was testing you because what happened was you broke up, right? So I wasn't sure.
What happened was, before we get into it, I just wanted to acknowledge something. Like I know the theme of Insecure has also been friendship, relationships, but something just hit me. This episode's coming out on Thursday, but Chris, like I am so grateful for you. Chris has a spare key to my apartment, and I needed him to hold me down and get some stuff for me. And Chris is just like a super friend if he fucks with you. Let me always add a little caveat to most people. Like you get that, right? Because we use the term friend loosely, but when someone fucks with you, like they'll really take care of you. And Chris has been that since the day that I met him, and he had offered to write up about Dear Georgette, my web series. And so, Chris, I love you so much, and thank you so much for your friendship. I am grateful to you for real.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like if you could see me, like my nose probably turned red, my cheeks, all that stuff. I'm blushing. The feeling is mutual, Georgette. I mean, like we ride together, we together because we ain't dying. We build together.
Yes. I like together, we build together. And Stephanie is my mentee, and so it was funny because I didn't know what to expect. I met Stephanie the same night at the same event that I met Chris. It was just this young, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed.
Really? I did not know that.
Stephanie was there. She was standing next to me. Oh yeah! Oh my gosh! I never told this. Okay.
Wait, are you serious? You're just telling us this now. I did not at that event.
It didn't dawn on me until, oh my gosh, this is why I kept connecting y'all without even realizing it. Stephanie was standing in line to talk to me next, and you were like not too far from where she was standing.
Wow.
Yes, I remember that. We were in Soho.
Yo, how long ago was that? That was like 7 years ago? How long ago was that?
2013. I think it was no. It was 2015, 16, because that's when Dear Georgette came out.
I think it was 2015 because it
was 15 because
it was 15. Yeah. 15, yeah.
2015 at the earliest because Dear Georgette wasn't out before then.
Right.
I dropped Dear Georgette May 2015.
Okay.
So yeah. So, but y'all were there, not realizing it. But Stephanie had just asked for me to be her mentor. And I was just like, all right, fuck it. No one's asked me to ever be their mentor. And I remember rest in peace to my place, Republic, that used to be in Union Square. And
Oh, that's my spot.
right?
Oh, that was my spot.
They
That was
closed
my spot.
they closed down December 2017, but Stephanie and I did dinner there, and, we were just riffing, and she started talking to me about where she used to work, production company, and I just, being Georgette, I was just like, "Well, this is this, and that is that, and listen, if you don't this is what you should do, this is how you should carry this is just how you should deal with the situation," and then writing out, I feel like there's been moments where Stephanie has become like, the student becomes the teacher, right? And so it fell into more than just, me being her mentor. Like I would talk to her about different things, but I've had moments where I've vented about my ghosting situation, and just talking to Stephanie in the middle of the night during Rona has actually given me a lot more clarity. And so we would just have moments where we would talk. I spent New Year's with her coming into 2020. And I call her my peak millennial. But I am so grateful for you, Stephanie, and it's been a joy to be your mentor.
Oh, I appreciate you, Georgette. I mean, I know I tell you all the time you're a blessing. I just hope that I am able to be just as much of a blessing to you.
You are, just like I said, we ride together, we build together. You and I are building on some things, and we got some work coming down the pipeline, Hanny. So let's go. Let's go.
I'm saying, can I get a job?
Right.
Can I get a can I get a job?
Yes,
No.
my company, my consulting agency, my creative consulting agency, Chris. We could definitely talk about that offline. So but I want to jump right into it. So Insecure, we're on episode 4. By the time they hear this, 4 episodes would have already passed. And I want to talk about the first thing that kind of started the beginning of the season, and now you're starting to see it more and more. It's actually becoming really triggering for some people. But I'm talking about like toxic. I'm thinking about the toxic and deteriorating friendships and relationships that have passed through our lives. But the breakdown of Issa, the communication breakdown between Issa and Molly, it's just really it's going down. I wanna what are your thoughts about communication breakdown? Have you ever had to, let go of a friendship? And was it hard if you did have to let go of one? Let me start with you, Stephanie.
I've had friendships where you just outgrow someone. I've never been in a situation where I've had to like this person, I'd have to let go of them because they're doing some shady, like toxic stuff. It's just, it's life. People grow, they go in different directions. But Issa and Molly's relationship, that situation is just like, I think Molly feels like she has to prove Issa wrong, or for some reason, like she feels Issa put her in this box, and she's like hell bent on trying to make sure she's not this person that she feels Issa thinks she is. Just like a lot of miscommunication.
Right. Right. I think it's also the same for Issa thinking the same thing. And so you had cut out earlier, Stephanie, but you were saying that you've outgrown friendships, but not necessarily anything where you're like, I got to be done with this friendship.
Yeah. Just like, people go in different directions. I've had that situation, but I've never been in a predicament where someone had did something to me where I felt like, okay, I got to cut this person off because they're awful. People grow. People go in different directions. They grow apart.
Yes. What about you?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, for me, yeah, there have been a few situations where I've had to cut people off. And in one instance, I think I remember very clearly not even telling the person I'm not going to call them. I just stopped calling them,
Mm,
and I stopped returning their calls because the person, their energy was just so toxic. Like whenever they called me, it was always like a negative conversation. Like it wasn't anything that was feeding. I find like if a relationship is not feeding my soul or uplifting or inspiring or motivating, what's the purpose? Why are we continuing? So this individual, like, I mean, she wasn't a bad person, but her energy it just wasn't right. And I couldn't deal with it. So I just like she called me a couple of times and I just never returned her calls.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
wow.
We
Okay.
relationship. We weren't in a no. It wasn't that kind. It was a friendship. It wasn't a romantic relationship. It was a friendship, and I just stopped returning her calls because I was just like, what's the point? Like, what am I going to talk about? Because I'd spoken to her before about like kind of the tone of the conversations and like, yo, like let's look at the bigger picture. Let's look at the bright side, and it was always like, the world is coming to an end. Everyone is conspiring against me. Woe is me, and she just would talk and talk and talk and talk. And I like, after the call, I would feel like, oh my God, somebody just sucked my life force out of me. So yeah, so it was easy for me and I haven't looked back.
I'm trying to. For me, I think I don't know if I'm sure I've been that. Okay, I've been that person for somebody, and it lasted a temporary period of time, but we eventually were able to talk through it, and I was able to acknowledge where I was toxic or why this person wanted to stop talking to me because I didn't realize how I had to come off, very abrasive to this person, and me and my girlfriend, she and I were cool since what, high school? And so, we went to college together as well and yeah, and we've fostered our relationship beyond. And so I have to be very mindful of how unwavering I can be and how that passion can come off very aggressive to some people that may not necessarily, take on the same approach on feeling passionate about something that I am or unwavering in different things. But yeah, I mean, like this past episode, for instance, Chris, not to do a spoiler alert, but the biggest thing that everyone walked away with remembering was not Molly, Issa's headliner dropped out. And she and Molly never had the conversation about like them wanting to kind of talk about their communication breakdown. How we saw that she never made it to Thanksgiving. She didn't feel the pressure to have to talk to her because her brother was like, if you don't feel like doing something, just don't do it. Don't do it just because. So, Asian Bay works at Live Nation, and so Issa's like, "Well, let me just call Molly and see what's up." But the issue was, like, Molly thought Issa was going to really have the conversation like, "Oh, yeah, I got my best friend, my girl still here." She literally sideswiped Molly wanting to vent about her week and was just like, "Yeah, girl, I'm sorry to hear that, but, can you ask her?" And you immediately saw the change in the shift. So by the time the end of the episode happened, Molly calls Issa back, and Issa's like, "Yeah, girl, you move quickly." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm not doing it for you." And Issa was like, "Wait, what?" And so come next weekend, oh, it's gonna be interesting to see because now Molly has made her boundary clear, what she's no longer gonna cross, and Issa, I think now that we see that Issa feels some sort of way towards her for that. I don't know if you've all ever dealt with anything like that either, but yeah, that was where I got that from.
Yeah, so I mean, I think look, both of them have their issues. I kind of don't feel Molly's energy more so than anything because I feel like she's always kind of coming for Issa.
Mm.
So but Issa also should have taken the opportunity to at least talk to her. Fine, you couldn't make it. Fine, you caught up with your brother. I get it. It's a Thanksgiving. It's set around that time. Or is it Thanksgiving? Yeah, it's Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like shortly after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like kind of like, it's being with family and so forth. And I get that. But you said you wanted to chop it up with her. This is your girl. I mean, regardless of what happened, like she was and I'm guessing still is kind of your girl. So you owe it to at least have a deeper conversation, especially if you said you would. So the fact that she didn't, fine, but then hit her up back and say, listen, I'm sorry that we never got to talk. Like, I really do want to clear the air on some things and then go from there. And if it ends up her not being your friend, then it is what it is, but yeah, that's kind of shady
Yeah, I mean,
to,
it was. It actually
yeah.
hurt. But so I wanna go on to the next theme. Being friends with someone dating your ex, because next week is the block party episode, Chris. So being friends with
Mm-hmm.
someone dating your ex, we realized that Condola met Lawrence and she ended up finding out that it was Issa's ex, and we found out that Tiffany knew and she brushed it off and Issa felt blindsided. But there also is some questionability about if they're still together, but nonetheless, the whole idea of being friends with someone that's dating your ex, because Molly had a real ass issue with it. Have you all dealt with it?
So
And if it bothered you too, right? Because like that was a other issue. Like Molly was just like, "Aren't you tired of this messy shit or being messy?"
right. So I've never, thankfully, had a situation where to be friends with someone who's dating an ex. I've been friends with my exes, but never had to be befriend someone who is dating my ex. I don't know how I would deal with that. I think I could, as long as the ex was an ex for a long period of time. Like, I mean, for like, in other words, we broke up a long time ago. So if it was a situation where I broke up with my ex like 3 years ago, that's enough time for me. 2 years, enough. A year, still a little bit fresh. Um, but if it's like 2, 3 years had passed, and I happen to run into a guy and we chopping it up on some stuff, and he says, "Oh, yo, blah blah, let's double date," and then I see it's my ex, I'm gonna be like, "What the?" It'll catch me off guard, But I don't think I would lose sleep over it, especially being that I moved on, But it might bother me. It depends on how deep the relationship was.
That's fair. I feel like Petty Betty, Stephanie, I think I'm curious on what because Stephanie can be petty if she wants to. How would you handle
I
that? Like your thoughts
can.
about that, and have you ever actually dealt with it?
Okay, so I've never dealt with that, luckily. But everyone keeps calling Condola and Issa friends. They are not friends. Like they have a work relationship. Okay, and in that scenario, I don't see anything wrong with them maintaining a professional relationship. Like, ladies, don't stop your bag because you dealt with, some guy. Like, we can keep it cute and still get work done as long as there's no shade being thrown. But I really don't think there's anything wrong with maintaining a professional relationship. Would I be friends with someone who dated an ex on the level that Issa and Lawrence dated? Probably not. I mean, I think that'd just be awkward. It's like, how do you really get to know someone and you have to, like, you know?
Yes. So I'm gonna briefly speak on my experience. Who, Lord have mercy. So ooh, I gotta be mindful of not being too detailed with this. But I actually recently dealt with it, but by like I found out like by mistake. And it wasn't even by mistake, but it was almost kind of like I wasn't prying, I wasn't fishing, I wasn't doing anything. The guy I used to deal with that I don't deal with anymore, mostly because of my fault, and not being truthful on some things. Is cool, is dating this woman that I'm really cool with. She and I are cool, right? And so she one day we were on the phone and she had asked me, oh, she had said something. She was like, "Yeah, I think like so and so and I are dating." I was like, "Wait, who?" I said, "So and so." Like I added their last name. I was
Oh,
like,
God.
"Wait a minute, this is a real thing." Because when what the things that Issa was showing when she saw like she left Condola and Lawrence, like that's actually a real fucking thing. Like where she kept seeing them like having sex and all this other stuff. There's just certain things you can't unsee. And so when she confirmed and I had told her about the situation, I thought there was an understanding that she and I we won't ever talk about him, blah blah blah. And so some other stuff came up where she wanted me to look out for him, and in my mind, I had said yes immediately without thinking about it. And then
Mm.
I pulled. I can now say I pulled a Molly. I was like, yeah, nah, but I never said anything to her about it, right? Like it just kind of fell by the wayside, and then obviously different things happened with Rona and whatever. But it was very awkward, and not for nothing. And it's not that I'm doing it intentionally. It's definitely been hard to actually like have the same relationship that I've had with her before. And so, go
I
ahead.
remember when you mentioned that situation to me, and I was just like, no. Like, the whole asking, someone to look out, asking you to look out for her now boyfriend who you also used to date, like, where, like, boundaries, please, no. Um, so I think in that situation you did the right thing.
I think for me, to your point, I had talked to my other girlfriend about it because you and her, because one, y'all were like, well, what kind of friend is this?
Yeah,
Right.
that was my
And
first thought.
so, uh, right. And so for me, I I don't know if I stood my ground and made it very clear, and that was something that I was also choosing to feel bad about. But yeah, that situation was really awkward, but a bit, but But to Issa's point, I know she's working with her, and you're funny. You're the first person I've actually heard or say that they're not friends,
They're
that it's
not.
a working relationship. And so I just, because this is the thing that gets really awkward. Then they start to bring their man around, and when you start to see the interactions, you're just like, you can't unsee certain things. I don't want to. I don't care to see y'all together. Like, y'all have fun, y'all be happy,
Yeah,
go off in the
yeah.
sunset. But I don't want to fucking see it because to be honest, what's bubbling is not that I have feelings for them, right? Romantic feelings. I actually feelings of like the hurt or the trauma or the disdain that I had the way we ended is what starts to bubble when I see them.
Hmm,
And I don't want to. I'm in a better space than I have been over the years evolving, and that I just don't want to take myself back there. You know what I mean? So
right.
that's what it is for me. So yeah, but that's an interesting one. And transitioning, perfect transition. What about dating someone's potential? Issa felt some sort of way about Condola getting this glow up Lawrence that she didn't get. And people were arguing on Twitter about this because they were basically saying, well, it wasn't like Lawrence wasn't trying. I think they said reminding, I guess to refresh my memory, like maybe he was on unemployment when he was living with Issa, like when they were living together.
Yeah, yeah. Things were he was working at like a Best Buy or whatever. Like he
Nothing
was
wrong to the
trying.
fellas
It was.
working at Best Buy, okay?
Oh yeah, nah. Listen. Ain't nothing wrong. I mean, I've done. Listen. Don't let me get into the jobs I've had. So the reality of it is, you go through periods of time in your life where there's a lull. Some things are not clicking. Something is not happening. I remember during the recession, like 2008 up until like 2011, like things were just not happening. And when they finally started to gel, even then it wasn't gelling at the rate that things used to gel for me. So I was questioning everything. And so if anybody was with me during those times to now, and they left me, let's just say you were with me from 2008 to 2011, 12, and you stuck with me, and then but then for whatever reason you broke out, and now 2020 you were like, you think you better than, you came up now and blah 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 because you're doing XYZ. Well, the reality of it is that people are all going to go through changes. There's always going to be development and growth. So it's either you accept the fact that you in life and in relationships should contribute, to a person's growth and development, because that's what you're supposed to do,
Mm-hmm.
put in to a relationship. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, or you stay salty about it. I mean, I'm not going to be salty about it. I'm just going to be like, hey, well, we met for a reason. It didn't work out. It's okay. Move on.
Well, I want to read these two tweets that I had referenced in a doc I sent y'all. So someone tweeted, I can't wait to get with a man that a woman already built. And then to your latter point, Chris, another person tweeted, they quoted Issa. They were basically saying, Issa's quote was, I got the nigga with potential. I got the work in progress. She's reaping all the benefits of his time with me. And then the woman wrote in her response to Issa's comment, I know many exes resonate with this, but the reality is it is the purpose of relationships to
Yes.
make us better versions of
Thank
ourselves.
you.
So
Yeah.
do we get mad
So,
that that's go ahead, Stephanie.
because
No.
I have a totally different view and perspective on that whole, I'm doing air quotes, dating someone's potential, because at the end, I feel like people only get upset with that when they feel like they invested more than the other person. And at the end of the day, both of you are going to grow. Like, you're both putting something into it. Issa is not the person that she was when she was dating Lawrence, is not who she is
I
now.
agree.
She's completely different.
Yep.
So
Exactly. Exactly.
Lawrence changed her just as much as she changed Lawrence.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I actually have a conversation with someone that she was just like, she felt like she was like, not Captain Save a Ho, but Captain Save a nigga, as she would say, but she felt like she was poor, like she would build these guys up and they wouldn't necessarily pour in. I'm just trying to remember how she quoted it because she listens to the podcast.
But see,
But it was.
can I?
Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, Georgia. Can I address that though? If and I don't want to cut you off. Finish with saying what you were
Yeah, no,
saying.
it was
Sorry.
essentially that, you're dating someone where, you want to date someone that you feel like you can learn from, or it's like an equilibrium. But when you feel like you're like they're leaving better than when they were with you, like they're doing more things that they've never done before they met you, like reading books and,
Reading books.
elevating their energy. I mean, I'm not
Where
trying to
is the
be
bar?
no, but I'm just saying, like, what I don't want to make reading books seem like these people can't read, but like, let's be honest, like, are you dating people that read on a consistent basis, right? Like, are you reading and educating yourself on different things? And what I think the issue could be is like you're meeting someone that isn't doing as many things or hasn't been as inspired to do as many things until they meet a person like you, and that is where it really feels like, well, what the fuck are you bringing to the table?
All right, so check this out. See, this is part of the problem. Part of the problem is people, and I say people because it includes men and
Correct.
women, to relationships, and they're not getting into relationships with a clear understanding of what they expect. What are you looking for? If you get into a relationship knowing what you're bringing to the table and what you're looking for from that relationship, then you can make a cut if the thing is not working without wasting too much time. But what happens is we get into these relationships, not sure what we want. We fuddle around and try to figure things out and roll around because we slept with such and such, and they can lay the pipe, or they whatever, or they a freak, or whatever the thing is that you get hung up on, instead of paying attention to the real meat of it, like what really matters, what's going to sustain you, what's going to grow you. And so when you get lost in all of that and all of the nonsense, then you end up doing things that you probably shouldn't be doing, like over investing in a relationship. The relationship is meant for both of you to pour into, not for you, one person, to pour and the other person just sit there and just receive everything.
Right,
You know,
and so I wanna also correct that. I could also have butchered the explanation of it, but this is not necessarily to her, but to your point, I
right,
agree that sometimes we may stay, and this is not necessarily her situation, but I know I've stayed in situations where I'm just like, Georgia, did you, keep it moving." But because of whatever I'm going through or whatever energy I'm feeling at that time, back to Stephanie's point, you aren't the same person that you were with these people. And so where do we get to the
right.
place of attracting where we are, or yeah, attracting who we are in that moment. I know the people that I've dealt with in the past. I know who I was. I didn't give a fuck. Right? I just didn't care. I didn't. I was very selfish in those regards. And I remember the guy that I most recently dealt with, that I don't deal with anymore. I was so cognizant of that because of how he presented himself to me, and also how I wanted to present myself in just from an evolutionary standpoint. And so, yeah. Okay. Now, what about dating while trying to find a work-life balance? And this goes back to Molly and Asian Bay. His name is Andrew. Let me call him Andrew. He goes by the name Andrew. She is going and on and on about her and work and being a lawyer and all this other stuff. And this got on Stephanie's last fucking nerves, and I had to bring it up. She could not I mean, like, she was trying to get everyone on social media to be on this page with her, like, she could not understand why this was a thing. So, on this last episode, the character Andrew, or Agent Bay, came into Molly's apartment, and he wraps his arms around her from behind, and she's like, they kiss, and she's going on and on and on, and he's like starts to snooze, and Stephanie was really bothered by that, and so Molly was chill, like, okay, you're right, okay, and so, but eventually, what ended up kind of being revealed was Asian Bay would make plans with his friends, even though he would make time for Molly, because she was always choosing work most of the time. He would make plans with his friends, and so the one night Molly was off, when they were having dinner, she felt some sort of way. She was like, "I thought this was our night," and he was just like, "Well, I don't know where we stand because I thought you had to work." And she just kind of she threw a little shade, and then she came back and apologize for it. So first and foremost, Stephanie, let's address your thoughts about why that triggered you, and then let's talk about the
Triggered.
work-life balance and the dating.
Woo.
Or why did it set you off? I don't know if that's a real trigger for you, but why did it set you off?
Molly started talking about work. She was bringing up work, and he immediately snoozed. Like he shut that down. He was like, I don't care. I'm not interested in your work life. That's what that said to me. And to me, that translates into I'm not that interested in you. Like, if you don't care about my work, which is like my baby, and I can't talk to you about it, how much are you interested in me? That's how I felt. So that's why it was so bothersome. And everyone just like glimpsed over that part. And I was,
No, you are valid and feeling that way. The way I took it, because I think I've done that before playfully. I think I'm trying to. I don't recall, but I looked at it as, and that's why I had to send you that meme, that video, because the first thing, I don't know, this is Chris. I'm gonna put it in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
There's this video meme circulating of this grime artist, and so every time people use it, they're using it in the regards of like someone put like a conversation between them and customer support. Customer support's like, so what happens when you click on Instagram? And then they put the meme and the guy's like, cat, 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 cat. And so it's like, you can't even understand a word he's saying.
Oh,
So I
man.
felt like it was the equivalent of that. Like Molly just came out the gate, Chris, talking about work. Like, not, hey, babe, how are you doing? Like, what's up? And that's how I took it. I would snooze jokingly too, but
Right.
Stephanie went from Twitter to Instagram with this same issue, and I kept cracking up. But Chris, what are your thoughts about it? Go ahead, Stephanie. Go ahead. Go, Stephanie.
one of someone I follow, another publicist, she had screenshotted my tweet and posted it on Twitter. So I was like, okay, we're gonna bring it to Twitter now. Let's discuss.
So
But
go ahead.
yes.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, I mean, and the last part of that question too, Stephanie, I forgot. But how do you handle work-life balance in dating?
Okay, so I'm gonna be completely honest. I can relate to Molly and her struggle to balance work and her love life. For me, like I've been in a situation where the person I was dating was like, "Look, I need more attention," and I did my best to accommodate, but it wasn't to their liking, so they dipped. But then on the other hand, I've been in situations where people have been able to meet me in the middle because they've been just as much invested in their work and other areas of their lives. So, I mean, I don't know. I think it's just like it has to do with the person that you're with.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And so I want you to hit the two-parter too, Chris, like of your thoughts. Well, you haven't seen it, but your thoughts around what I did tell you, if someone was to do that to you, and then the work-life balance.
Yeah, so I would feel some type of way, but again, see the difference between me and their relationship. From what I saw of their relationship, they never really established like clear boundaries, or they never really established like truly what each of them were looking for in a relationship. Especially Molly, like she's like, with Molly, like I felt like it was like, she set the bar at a certain height, and then she's like, oh, I don't know, and then she kept finding like punching holes in it, like he's not this, he's not that, I don't know if he's this, or he doesn't want to open up about his personal life, like all these little things she kept finding fault with regards to him. And so that energy is being picked up on and received by that other person. For me, if I'm in a relationship and I start talking about work and the person does that, I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm just gonna address it. Does this bother you? Like, can we not? You don't want to talk about work? If that's the case, work it means a lot to me, and this is my business. So, what's the deal? And if it doesn't, if I don't like the answer, meaning the answer is something that the person is like, yeah, I really don't care to know about your work, then I don't care to continue that relationship.
That's
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's my point.
And then as far
Oh yeah, but I didn't gauge that. I guess personally for me, I didn't gauge that, but I can see why you may have seen it like that.
right now, if it's just a thing where he did that because she was like, she just jumped down his throat with all the work shit and didn't even like, your day? How was your day? What are you going through? Like, then he's justified to do that, because it's like, come on, sweetheart. I just walked in the door. You're gonna hit me. You're just gonna unload. Like, can,
That
yeah,
is
can
what
we
I'm
embrace?
saying.
Can we just see each other? Before we start in with
I
that.
under
You
can
know,
That Chris, that's all I was saying. And
I
that's
under no, because I understand that part too, but he snoozed. Like he could have did something else. He was just she brought up work and he started like started snoring.
yeah.
He could
I
have
don't
been
really
like,
feel sorry for Molly too much
No, I
when it comes
mean,
to that. Because she's a little bit self-absorbed. That's part of her problem, and I think that he's responding to that. You know what I mean?
that's what I'm saying. Like, I think he is too, because there was a scene again when they were out to dinner, and he was like, "Oh, I just figured you had to work," because she had plans for them, and he was just like, "Well, I just figured you had to work," because that has consistently been
And
her
she does not
story.
communicate.
that's true. She doesn't.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, I don't think she I didn't think she, and when I heard that, I was like, he seems like he is open and willing to work with Molly, but I felt in that moment she did not communicate to him, and I have been that person too. You just want the guy or your significant other, your partner, whoever they may be, that's dating, for them just to catch on to your cues, or just them to always be readily available. And I think that goes back to the self-absorbed part, that to your what you were saying, Chris. So I can agree with that. But yeah, I had to bring that up because that shit was so funny. Stephanie had me like, I was rolling from the
I
rooter to
think
the tutor. The
I
fact that
think I
she
missed the second
literally,
part of the question. What was it?
oh yes, sorry, the work life balance part. Like, how do you deal with that, navigate that?
Funny enough, like my relationship now, like, the good thing is both of us are passionate about media, right? Both of us are passionate about what we do. So, I'm into media, I do my events and that sort of thing. So it's actually been pretty cool. I mean, I've gotten to a point in my life where I now know how to separate things. But if you caught me earlier, like I was taking trips with, my partner where, she would have to look at me and be like, yo, can you put the phone away? Like, can you respond to email? Can you not, like, I mean, we'd be at dinner, and I'm talking like, this is our romantic getaway, and I'm on the phone. And so I was younger, I had a lot to learn, and I learned. But so now I think I can manage it, but I still need to know that I have someone in my life that understands that there are times when things are going to get hectic. And when it gets hectic, it'll cut into, us and movie time, because I got to like respond to something where the person may be in another country, or the person, maybe in another time zone. And I just have to respond. And, so if they can flow with that, it makes life easier, but I will always communicate that, so I don't for me it won't be a problem, and I think for the person in the relationship with me it probably won't be a problem, because I'll already be open up about it. But did I answer the question? I think I did.
Yeah, you did. So we're gonna do two more themes before we go into the last segment. Okay, real quick, hearing from someone that ghosted you. Lord, that has happened to me, but I'm gonna let you all start first. Have you, Stephanie, heard it from anyone that ghosted you before, and how did you deal with it? And the reason why I bring this up, Chris, is because again, in the last episode 4, Nathan leaves Issa a voicemail, and he hits her with the, "You don't have to call me back." And I've done that before too.
What have you guys seen that it's like a video or something on social media and the guy is like he pounds his fist on the desk and he's like, I'm not even gonna let you get the chance. You know what I'm talking about? Well, anyway,
No,
that's how I feel
No,
with
I haven't seen
ghosting. Like
that.
I'm not even gonna let you
no.
get the chance to contact me again. Um, like I block people. And then also like anytime I've been on, and I don't think anyone should ghost anyone, but it's happened. It's happened. And anytime I've done it, I don't reach out to the person again later on. Like that's just rude. Let people move on in peace. Don't reach out again.
But what if all right, so Bus, what if you go back because it's like, yo, you felt like, you know, you felt guilty for the way you ended it. So you felt guilty for ghosting, and you wanted to just really apologize. A
So deal with that.
just a sincere apology, like, yo, I know that what I did was wrong and it was hurtful. Regardless of how I felt, I should have dealt with it differently. And so I want to apologize to you. I know you don't need to or have to accept this apology, but I want you to know I'm sorry. I fucked up. I was wrong. Boom.
I
Like, is that okay or not? Not
okay,
okay.
I felt that way. Like I've seriously felt like, man, I should have never done that. I shouldn't have ghosted that person. I really want to tell them that's how I feel. I still don't do it though. Like leave them alone. I think it's worse. Like if you ghosted someone
But why not though?
because they've
Why
moved
not
on
say
with
sorry? Why?
they've moved on, let them continue to move on. Like a lot of times you don't want to reopen wounds. Like just leave people alone. That's just how I feel.
But some people, yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like, I mean, so how do you heal from that? You know what I'm saying?
Deal with
Like, if you
that
want
on
to
your own. I feel
apologize,
like if the guilt that you feel, that's yours to deal
mm-hmm.
with. That's not the other person's to deal with. So handle that on your own. Don't
Mm,
like you reaching out to them is to help yourself feel better. That's how I see it.
I got you.
So I'll jump in. I'll jump in, Chris, because I got quite a few things to say about that. Because it's happened. And so the guy that ghosted me a few years ago, when I was like, oh my gosh, I found like this first guy I want to actually date and deal with in New York, because I didn't think that was a thing. He ghosted me. This Negro texts me a fucking month later for the holidays on some mass text message shit. So I didn't know how to feel, because I'm just like, I hit him up on, I remember texting him, emailing him, calling him. I did one of every line of communication once, because prior to him, someone else had ghosted me and I kept calling, calling, calling. And when they sent me the voicemail on the house phone, that's when I knew. I was like, Georgette, don't you ever allow someone to send you to voicemail on a fucking house phone. So I was like, we're probably through. So so with this guy, this was like 2012. When he ghosted me, I felt some sort of way. Do you know this meant 6 years to the date? This man hits me up on Instagram. I think it was like 2018. I was doing a staycation. One of my girlfriends was in town working on production, and she had a hotel that she was staying in the Upper West Side. So I stayed the night with her. I look at my message, my DMs on Instagram, and I was like, I'm wiping my eyes like Inspector Gadget. I was like, this can't be who I think this is. Like, this couldn't be who I think this is. So we're going back and forth. And to Chris's point, I'm not gonna lie, I was trying to meet up with him because I still wanted to see what was up. And
Oh wow,
right, because I part of me still wanted to know, because this is the one thing, and I agree with Stephanie on why she feels this way. I agree with both of you all, but the one thing I couldn't fuck with, this man's like, oh my gosh, I see you living your dreams. I remember you telling me, don't
wow,
fucking tell me that you see
wow,
me living my dreams when you fucking ghosted me 6 years prior. You
wow.
don't get to tell me that. That's what I was mad
Yeah,
about. That's what I was mad about, Chris. And I can understand why Stephanie's like, because you could open up old wounds. Luckily, 6 years was more than enough
right.
time for me to get past that. But it was just hard to, I literally had to find my own closure. Now with the guy that recently ghosted me, that's the one that I'm still processing. I don't want to be immature about it, but I did the block, unblock, block, unblock. And then Stephanie, even like, again, when the student becomes a teacher, I was like, you know what, let me unblock his number. I don't feel compelled to
Mm-hmm.
hit him up, Chris, but I would entertain a conversation around what he did, but I would make it very clear that how he made me feel. And then whatever happened after that happened after that. But I would entertain it, but it wouldn't be Georgette doing it anymore. Like there's no
Mm-hmm.
communication coming from Georgette anymore at this point.
So let me just
But
do a quick
yes.
analysis, and I want to make sure I understand this real quick. I'm not going to take up too much time, but so you're in a relationship with somebody, or you're building whatever it is, you're dating, right? And you both are talking back and forth, back and forth. Maybe you know, as in my case, as the guy, maybe I'm the one that is doing most of the calling. And then I see that I'm putting more into the relationship and I'm not getting anything much back from you. Like it's maybe I like you more than you like me. I decide, you know what, I'm going to ease back. So I'm not calling you to see if you call me, whatever, whatever. You call me here and there, you call me here and there. And then I'm just like, this is some bullshit. What's the point? Because we're not, clearly I'm going 60 miles per hour and you're like 5. So, and then it doesn't seem like the energy is not the same. So I totally step away. Is that ghosting? Because I step away and you didn't call me back. You didn't call to see if
That's not
okay.
ghosting.
You didn't call to see if I was okay. You didn't call to see if I'm good, or anything like that. I step away and you just don't call.
That's not ghosting.
I think
That's not good.
in my mind. Okay, Stephanie, you go ahead before we go into this next segment. Tell me
that's
why.
not ghosting. You're receptive to the energy she's giving you, and you did what I think any person in their right mind should fall back.
Okay.
I don't think that's ghosting. If the person didn't even reach out
Right.
to inquire about why are you doing this, then it's no afterthought in their mind, so it shouldn't be in yours.
All right. Sounds like a plan to me, because I thought I ghosted somebody, but I guess I didn't.
I think
Chris
you
wants
did the
to
right thing.
Chris over here like, I need to reconcile my ways. I can't with you, Chris.
Nah, you didn't.
So what I'm going to do is I moved one of the themes. So going into all of the things segment where we'll address 2 more themes of Insecure. And so all of the things is usually heavier, lighthearted. But again, like I said, this is an Insecure themed episode. And so the other thing I wanted to address that happened in this episode, Chris, was, and I'll reference a tweet. It said, when men or some men realize the value of women after having a daughter. And there was a conversation that happened with Lawrence. I forgot Tiffany's husband's name, but he said he was fucked up, like, during the days of like him dating and all this other stuff. And he was just like, damn, dog, they were someone's daughter. He was like, oh no, someone's going to finger fuck my daughter, my little girl. Like, he was like, and he just went off the wall with this shit. And he told Lawrence, look at my girl. He's like, please don't make me look at her, like, after he said that comment. But here's a comment on Twitter that I want to reference. This person said in the thread when they were talking about Insecure, it says, why do men suddenly realize what they used to do is wrong only when they have daughters? Like, men also have moms, aunts, sisters, cousins, friends, etc. And then the comment to that said, I think the men who hold this view believe that the only women worth protecting or treating right come from / through them directly, and they can easily take the disrespect of that woman as a personal attack, once again making all things about them as far as like the men. So
let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it, Chris. Come on, let's start with you. You're the man.
Damn, why you got to start with me? Nah, but real talk, listen, it is something that, I mean, as men, we got to pay attention to, right? Like, I think for me, my upbringing was a little different. So, I mean, I listen, as a dude, I did my fucked up shit. I made my mistakes, but I don't, as far as I'm concerned, I never took that disrespect to a level to where a woman could turn around and say, oh, if that was your daughter, how would you like somebody else to treat your daughter that way? I don't think there's out in the street that can come around and say, Chris is a dirtbag or anything like that. I don't think. We're not going to put my last name out, but I'm just, no, seriously. I don't see that. But I think it's wrong for us to all of a sudden, realize that, because the reality of it is, like you said, you got mothers, you got aunties, you got grandmothers, you got all these women in your lives that, you see them in a certain light. So why in your dating, why don't you want to put that woman on a platform, and have her, be in that same light? Now, the flip side is, how are the women conducting themselves? You get what I'm saying? Like, if you.
But see, this is where the argument will come in, though, Chris. Why is it about how the women is conducting themselves versus young boys being raised?
I'm saying that to say, when a man gets into a relationship, right? He gets into men are, we're hunters, right? So we hunt. It's like this thing where, your hormones are raging. You meet this woman or you see her, you're attracted, you feel a certain way, and, there's a connection. And so you, as the man, you instigate that. You step out, most of the time. Some men don't, but for me, I will step out and I'll walk over to you and say, hey, Stephanie, Georgia, I saw you from across the room. I just had to come over and introduce myself. I'm Chris. I'd love to get to know you better, whatever the conversation is. And you go from there. Now, depending on how that woman reacts, how she behaves, you're going to, as a person, as a man, whatever, you're going to categorize her accordingly. So if she behaves, like somebody who is, very serious, very focused, very committed, then you're gonna bring your A game. If she acts like she's somebody who's just like, she plays it loosey goosey. It's like whatever, sometimes I'm in the mood for this, sometimes in the mood for that. Then, you may react differently. If she's like a good girl, I mean, a fun girl, somebody who wants to just hang out, have fun, party, bullshit, and do whatever, then that's the category, that's the box I put her in. So that's why I said, sometimes people, you kind of are the reason why you get certain types of behavior from men is based on how you yourself conduct yourself. So if I want something, then I have to be clear about what I want and put it out, and then I will get it from whatever source I'm supposed to get it from. If you act in a certain manner, whether it's negative, whatever you conduct it, like attracts like is all I'm saying.
I mean, I hear you on that. I think. Oh, go ahead, Stephanie. I'm gonna let Stephanie go.
I just want to make sure Chris.
She got the sword out.
She's ready.
She's ready.
No. Okay, I do have many thoughts on this, on what you just said, but I don't want anything that you're saying to be misinterpreted. So I just want to make sure it's clear that what you're saying is women ultimately set the standard for how they're treated.
I think I'm not going to say just women, but any people in general set the standard. Men and women set the standard.
Okay, so I just want you to say that for everybody else that's listening.
However, I want to be clear. I don't think that if a woman is treated poorly, it's her fault. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying that you set the standard because if you see, women can nip a lot of shit in the bud from the beginning, but sometimes women are afraid because of whatever reason, whether they don't want to be alone or they think, the guy is going to think something that they don't want him to think. Whatever it is, they just don't push back. And so
yeah,
if you push back and let a dude know, you got to check a dude. Like sometimes as men, we need to be checked. I'm sorry. That's just how and if a man comes on here and says something different, whatever, I don't care. I know that's what it is. Okay. We don't know everything. Okay. And women are always most of the times, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, are more mature than us anyway. Yeah. If a guy walks into a relationship, meets a woman, and she looks at him and she says, yo, I'm not with that. Pull your pants up. Don't do that around me. If the guy wants to really check for her, he's going to listen and he's going to pull his fucking pants up. He's going to wear a belt. He's going to wear his whatever. He's going to be on his best behavior because he knows that if he wants her and this is what she's about, he's got to do what she says. And it's not to say he's going to be, he's going to be like, timid or anything like that and not be his manly self. But at the same time, he's going to realize he's got to step his game up. So that's all I'm saying.
I'm glad that you said that. I'm glad that you elaborated on that. But I also want to dispel the myth that women are more mature than men. Yeah. I think that women are we're required to do more emotionally. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, speak on it, Stephanie.
Okay, that's fair. Continue to expand on that a little bit.
I just think that more is required of women in society in general. Like emotionally, we do like the bearing, and men get to slide with, okay, women are more mature, Then, always think about how when women date men who are much older, they say, oh, well, the woman's more mature. But no, I think that's just more is required of women. I don't think it has anything to do with that. Men need to do more work.
Right. Okay. That's fair. I appreciate that point. That's fair.
I love that you said that because that wasn't even a point that I thought about. I think a lot of times could see when the student becomes a fucking teacher. I'm just over here thinking like, oh my gosh, that is so true. But we fall into it, Chris, because that is how we as for but for those that identify as being a woman, that is how we were raised as young girls. I think the issue is the underlying issue that when I missed it, the reason why I had to watch the show again, because I missed that conversation about him saying that and then someone pointing to it on Twitter, is I feel like young black boys are raised. I want to be very transparent. Like I'm not gonna say I can't speak for the whole community of Black people, but because I am a Black woman, I'm gonna focus on our community, and that's why I say Black boys. So, young Black boys are raised to act a certain way, do a certain thing, with lack of consideration or respect for women, that based off of their relationship with the first woman they've ever encountered, which should be their mother or a matriarchal figure. And I think that is sometimes where that could be part of the disconnect on men feeling like, because the fact that you're raised as a young boy to tackle every woman, like bust every woman down, like who the fuck? Women aren't raised to do that, but also women are raised to be suppressive and not be fluid in their sexuality and own their bodies, right? Like we grow into that as we get older versus being like, you could date whoever you want, you could be as fluid as you want, you could be all these things. No, y'all are taught that, those that identify as men. And I think that's another conversation, because that gets into whole like patriarchy and toxic masculinity. But
I want to be here for that, girl.
Oh, I know you do. And so, but the point though, Chris, is I think the fact that him recognizing it and calling it out,
Right.
I think struck a nerve with some people in the that are our viewers, and I just wanted to at least bring that up and get your thoughts on it. But like, I think you all both made interesting points, and I thought it was very important too, Chris, that Stephanie made sure she clarified your take on it, because it could have easily come across like women need to do this, women need to do that.
Yeah,
And so
I didn't want him to get caught in that. Chris is a good dude.
No. But you know what? It's this is the thing that bothers me. Like you see how Stephanie, you extracted, you got more information out of me, right? So we get so stuck into this soundbite world where somebody says something and now it's taken out of context. Instead of people stopping to ask, like, "Hey, what did you mean by that?" Right away, we take an accusatory stance, like, "Oh, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So you're
absolutely
women and you're this and you're that." No, like dig deeper, because sometimes people are articulate. Like I'm saying something, I'm not listening, like it's not like I'm listening to myself as I talk. I'm speaking what I'm thinking, and maybe I left something out. Maybe, because my brain, the way my brain works, it's just going. It's like moving fast. And, so sometimes I'm saying something and I'm like, oh shit, wait, did I say that? That's why I asked you before, like, did I answer the question? Because like I'm thinking like 4 steps ahead, So so just have a conversation. Ask the person, what did you mean by that? Elaborate.
I agree. I love it. But this is why we have nuanced conversations on Black and
Love
Nuance.
it.
So here's here's the last theme that was actually supposed to be the only topic in this segment, but I felt like they can kind of go hand in hand, because you saw something click in Lawrence's mind when his friend they were basically talking over the child in her crib. And, he was just like, you just do things. I forgot what happened. Like, did he acknowledge Stephanie that he had cheated or some shit? I don't know what happened in their conversation, but he was just like, I know what it was. He basically said like they did not plan to have a child, like not anytime soon. They were waiting a couple of years. They were going to travel, and then things didn't go as planned. He said, but just because things didn't go as planned doesn't mean that you don't work through it. Lawrence had this ding, ding, ding look on his face where it almost felt like he was thinking about how he and Issa didn't work out. So I say all that to say, how do y'all feel about wanting that old thing back?
Chris, you can start.
No. Okay, so here's the thing. I have this thing about going back, right? Like it depends on, now obviously it depends on the love and what was there in the relationship to begin with. But like I feel like people come into your life, it's a reason and a season. I don't necessarily think that just because you may still have some feelings or something like that, that you need to go back. However, I will say if you felt that person really helped shape you, guide you, really had your back, and you felt like you can do the same to that person, like, really pour into that person the way they poured into you, and you can build a life with this person, then yeah, if it's worth it, definitely. I mean, for the two of them, I'm not so sure that I want to see them back together. But then I haven't seen anybody for good. That's good for Issa. I haven't, and I think I like.
What did you see? TSA Bay. Mm.
Oh, you got jokes? No, he's not good for Issa. Okay, I'm talking about somebody that's good for Issa. Like who's really, and I think Lawrence is kind of the best person. Not kind of, he is the best person that I've seen for Issa. But is Issa the best person for Lawrence? I'm not sure.
You know what's interesting? Before we get to you, Stephanie, I ever craved an ex? I mean, I'm craving someone that I'm getting over, but you think about, like, I think a lot of people go back to their exes because of the shorthand, right? Sexually speaking, that could be one reason. It could be a short-term thing. It could be an in-between thing. It could be a transitional thing. But your comment about Issa and Lawrence, I'm not going to lie. To be honest, I like seeing the awkwardness of them trying to navigate what this new world looks like between them, right? They went from her cheating on him, them breaking up, him having this glow up, him now looking at her differently, she seeing him differently. I like the non-verbal communication that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me personally. And I can watch that for the rest of the fucking season. I'm okay with that.
Right.
I know there is a whole thing with the Lawrence Hive where, they're like, he's a main character too, and he is this and he is that, and he has value and all these other things. But I don't know if I have a reason why I think they should or shouldn't be together. But Stephanie, what are your thoughts about craving an ex and then and Lawrence and Issa getting back together, if that's a thing?
To me, it's just not realistic. Them getting back together, and to piggyback like what you were saying about how it looks for them working through like the awkwardness. To me, that's actually realistic. Is how often do you actually go back to someone? At least for me, it's not realistic. So I wouldn't want to see them two getting back together. I think you're not the same person that you were unless when someone leaves, you have to go through so much to like get over them, and who wants to go backwards?
Have you dealt with that before, though? Have you ever wanted an ex or
Like
wanted
wanting to get back with someone?
yeah, or just wanting that old thing back? It could be any aspect of an ex.
Oh yeah.
I'm really being honest. Like I have not any person that I've dated exes. I've never thought, man, I wonder where it would be like right now. I don't know if is something wrong with me.
No. What about the intimacy? Like, that's never a thought that's ever crossed your mind either, to want to go back, like, damn, like this person was like, ugh, just rocked my socks off.
Oh, that type of intimacy. Okay. Oh.
Because that's still going back, though. You know what I mean? It's still going back.
No, I'm not for it. I think, like I said before, like I block people. I mean, I don't block people that I have like real genuine love for, but I like to keep it moving. But then also, and that's what it bothers me though when I date someone and they might have a lingering ex, and I never understand why they're able to keep that relationship around. Because on the other hand, you have me who I won't be in contact with an ex from the past.
Yeah, I hear you.
Even on like a friendship level, it may be on a acquaintance. I follow exes on social media, and we might have conversation in DMs, but I don't ever entertain it further than that.
That's fair. Chris, you had said yes, so you've thought about an ex before in your past.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we've gotten, like me. I've had a few exes where we had some episodes. You know what I mean? It's just like because there were
But
things.
isn't that exhausting?
Say again?
But isn't that exhausting?
No, it was fun. Like it was just. I mean, I was younger, and I think both of us being younger at the time, it was just like because it wasn't that because we got along. There were just other issues that we had, right? But then there were certain things between us that was just great. So yeah, there were a couple exes that we just kept, we just kept going back and forth, and after a while, we said, hey, okay, this is it. It's not going any further, and we moved on. A couple we stayed friends, and one or two we just we're not enemies. If we see each other, we'll say what's up, but we don't stay in contact, and it is what it is.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at
That's
that.
interesting.
Okay.
That's interesting because I feel no, I'm not gonna go into that.
Make your last. No, I want you to make your last point because I'm gonna wrap it up after your last point. Go ahead.
It's just always I'm always when I'm getting ready to date someone, I always let them know, like, look, I'm not for the back and forth. To me, that's really exhausting. So I feel like once something's done, it's like we out of here. And then I've had situations where I've said to someone, listen, I don't do the back and forth, and then they try and come back around, and I have to remind them, like, listen, before when we even started dating, I let you know I don't do the back and forth.
Right.
So
I think that's great.
It's just exhausting to me.
I think it's great that you have boundaries, and that's something that I need to work on. But it's important to have boundaries. I think that's on both sides. Okay, damn y'all, we really went into it. Like I went over my hour. Like I usually don't go over an hour in episodes, but I thought it was important just to knock some themes out, and I really wanted to do it with you two because we all are watching Insecure together. So on that note, Stephanie, how can they find you online?
You guys can follow me on social media at S3EP is my name. HANIEEPOW.
On what platforms?
Any platform. My name is the same everywhere.
On Twitter and Instagram?
Yep. You got a TikTok. Follow me.
You're on TikTok too?
Oh, you on TikTok?
Yeah. I just made one because I wanted to laugh. It's so funny. I keep seeing the videos.
Yeah, I believe that. And Chris, what about you? How can they find you online?
You can find me on IG at Chris Factor. That's CHRISFACTOR. Chris Factor on Instagram. I don't really do Facebook. And Chris Factor on Twitter and on Snapchat, the Chris Factor.
I still have my Snapchat. Y'all, I haven't touched that. I
don't really use it. I
gotta dust that bitch off, like blow on it. Yeah. I don't use it either. Not anymore.
Yeah, I follow different stories and whatever, and Will Smith and a few other people, but Kevin Hart, but I don't really, if you want to follow, it's there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate y'all. Thank you all so much, and please make sure you all are staying safe where you are, and I guess to be continued. So maybe this is a follow-up at the end of season 4. That's what we're going to do. End of season 4, follow-up.
Yep. There you go.
We'll do that. Season finale, and then we'll talk about some things. But y'all be safe. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much to Stephanie and Chris for joining me. We definitely got to come back and debate or discuss the season 4 finale. And shout out to Insecure for getting renewed for season 5. We love to see it. You can find me on Twitter at Georgette, GeorGette, and Instagram at Georgette Pierre. You can find the show on Twitter and Instagram at Black Nuanced Pod. That's Black, Nuanced Pod. Find me streaming on Apple Podcasts, my new home Anchor, iHeartRadio, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, at Black and Nuanced Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also email me questions, comments, and feedback at blacknuancedpod@gmail.com. That's Black, NUANCEDpod@gmail.com. Big announcement, major. I'm officially on Patreon under Georgette Pierre, so you can go to patreon.com/Georgette Pierre. Your support as a patron will contribute to my production company's goal to positively contribute to the Black experience. It's only $5 a month. That's it. My production company name is Miss Productions, MYS, Productions Master Yourself. And what comes with that $5 is early and exclusive access to various digital series and Black and Nuanced podcast related content that I produce under my company imprint. And I got some stuff coming out. I'm just saying. Behind the scenes, look at the creative process, all the jewels and the things that I put together to bring you all what I bring you all from a visual standpoint or an audible standpoint. Creative process input with patron-only polls, so you'll be able to contribute to the creative process as well on the different things that I'm working on. Ad-free podcast episodes, monthly live Q&As answering industry-related questions, and patron shout-outs on the podcast. All of this, again, for $5 a month. I thank you for your support as I transition into my next journey. Really telling myself that this is the time to really invest in myself and really support the Black creative ecosystem. And you would be doing that by contributing to my Patreon and becoming a patron at $5 a month. So I look forward to bringing you all all the things that I've been working on, all the things that I continue to work on, and even collaborations with other Black creatives. So thank you so much for your listenership, for your support, and cheers to the next journey. And until the next episode, peace.